all the valuable gifts. The girl again got lost in her thoughts and remembered that Baek Rin Ui Sung was being sought by all the warriors, and he had very little time to live. Maybe that's why he gave all his valuable things and knowledge to Jin Cheon-hee. She looked at the guy who stood with a smile and thought that in the future he could become the next Baek Rin Ui Sung. The girl kept thinking about Hen's future. While he is little, they should treat him well because when he grows up and all the families turn to him, it may be too late. The girl said that she had prepared something for the guy. He was very surprised. He didn't even imagine what was there, but the girl still insisted that he accept a small gift from her. The guy told her that she could address him simply as you. The girl was a little embarrassed and moved the box a little closer to Hyun. The guy was very surprised by such a gift because the box looked very expensive and he was embarrassed to take it, but the girl just smiled and insisted that he take it. The girl said that it was just a cheongseondan, nothing special, and he shouldn't worry. But these words put the guy into even greater shock. He thought that it was like a hwandan, only it was created from a 1,000-year-old juicy. Emotions did not leave Hyun. He froze in place. Hyun said in her head that it is a very special gift. It is used to treat internal wounds of a descendant in the direct line of the Konsong family. And there are only a few of these left. Hyun patted Hyun on the head and advised him to try it, but first let him show it to his teacher. Hyun thanked Hyun for her useful and special gift, and also said that he was incredibly happy. Through her smile, the girl thought why he couldn't refuse gifts at least once, accepting them again and again every time. The girls saw Hen off in a beautiful square in the middle of a perfectly blue sky, wishing him good luck on his journey. He said that they would definitely see each other again. The hero especially thanked Hyun for the gift, saying that it was very special and useful for him, and he would definitely use it. The girl again warned him that he should remember to show the teacher the gift before eating it. Hyun also reminded the guy to use Hoksung's blade, not to forget it. With a smile, the guy said that he will always be. In parting, the girl hugged the guy with all the warmth and thanked him for everything, but he said that he should thank him for everything she did to him. He also apologized for having previously failed to congratulate Hyun on becoming a master. Other students also happily thanked teacher Baek Rin Ui Sung for his kindness and knowledge that he gave them. The teacher was very pleased to hear the words of gratitude. He told the students that he was very glad that fate brought him together with such students, praising and thanking them for everything. He also bowed to them. A beautiful picture, bright green, beautiful mountains, the greatest staircase, all in white clouds. A few months later, the picture was in the Baek Rin Medicine Palace near the Flying Kite Division. The grandest staircase leads directly to the foot of the volcano, which is surrounded by huge mountains and fog. Hen walked up these stairs. He carried 2 heavy buckets of water. A voice in his head said that it was too early for him to start studying martial arts. First, he should strengthen his external energy and Dungun. Each time he repeats the same movements, he will increase his internal energy, and only after all this he will be able to start studying martial arts. In addition to all of the above, correct breathing and walking are no less important for the hero's success. The guy was furious, but he knew that in order to begin studying martial arts, he must stand firmly on his feet, become one with the earth, learn different skills, and improve himself. Jin Cheon-hee said that internal energy is a strong trait of the Jegal clan, but external and physical strength is their weakness. In the clan of teachers, everyone arrogantly believed that external energy against the backdrop of strong internal energy is unimportant. The teacher said that after lessons with him and new knowledge, Hyun will become like a vessel, as strong and large, which no one can break. The teacher mentioned that only by cognizing internal energy will he be filled, because as he said earlier, this is very important in martial arts to become a courageous hero. Hen was very happy, but he was also shocked that the teacher was offering this to an ordinary guy who had no training in anything and had no knowledge to enter into any martial arts. The first thing the teacher said was that from tomorrow the guy would wear 4 multi-tonies. Hen got angry and loudly shouted out his dissatisfaction and surprise. Why does he have so much if he can cope with 2? He was more outraged by the teacher's gaze, because he looked at him with an angelic smile and such kind eyes, without a drop of mercy and without a drop of regret towards the aspiring hero. They found themselves in a wonderful, beautiful place where, according to the teacher, his office was. Hen was surprised by such a beautiful place, surrounded by beautiful nature and unusual buildings. The teacher said that this place was nicknamed Baek Rin's Medicine Palace because of its majestic size. The building really looked gorgeous, Huge columns, beautiful decorations, towers of several floors. It looked so bad that Hen was speechless. Hyun recalled that in the novel, Baek Rin Iwi Song was in the mountainous area for treatment for a long time. The guy's gaze still remained surprised and frightened. He recognized this as the same place and again told the teacher about its size and asked if it is called huge because many patients come, or is there another reason to call it that? The teacher said that he never accepted students because he didn't need it. But he explained that this place itself is truly a famous infirmary, which interests many heroes and which saved the lives of most. Near the entrance to the building, the teacher said that they had already arrived. They were met by a fair-haired guy. He bowed down and showed an invitation with his hand. Chin Cheon-hee told the guy to come in because he needed to unpack all his things. The hero was very impressed by the building inside and outside. An ancient, beautiful castle, beautiful stone, huge columns, unusual roofs and facade. With surprise, it seemed to the guy that the room of the flying kite was somehow empty and abandoned. It didn't smell of goodness and fun, but everything turned out to be wrong. The place was very beautiful and turned out to be cozy. One of the students, Juho, was talking with other students. A lot of carrier pigeons came to the post office. He was interested in whether they had sorted out the letters. Hen was very surprised because he had never seen carrier pigeons and did not even know what they were. He recalled how pigeons were told in all sorts of novels. Trained birds are engaged in sending letters and parcels. For him it is so surprising, because such a small bird but so smart and capable. It was too unusual for him, after the stories about them, to see them in person. There was a conversation between the two guys, as Hyun heard. There was an official there. The man who brought him the letter said that carrier pigeons from Suramun and Changyeon arrived at the same time, and it looks like both heirs were injured as a result of Pimu. Yuho said that Suramun and Changyeon don't get along at home. This led them into a stupor, and they did not know what to do now. The guy asked the teacher if he would approve of their desire to be treated by him. Since they were enemies and did not get along, the decision was very questionable and a lot depended on it. They compared the wounds before making decisions, because the young Prince Suramun had a simple sword wound and his recovery would be faster. But Princess Changyeon had a more serious problem. Suramun used the Tokmun Cholgi technique, and the decision was that an ordinary local doctor could deal with the prince's wound, and he does not have to undergo treatment with them. Hen just stood aside and was amazed at how easily the teacher made conclusions. He admired every word and every decision. The teacher said that the best decision would be to send a reply letter to the prince so that he would simply observe bed rest, because this would be enough for him to heal a minor injury. She also said to write out prescriptions for puncture and internal wounds. She said that the composition of the medicines is too simple. They themselves can find everything they need in local pharmacies and prepare it themselves. Having listened and accepted all the teacher's instructions, Yuho asked who should send the letter first. The girl became thoughtful and began to think. From the looks of it, Princess Changyeon's condition is moderate. Despite her victory, her injuries are much more serious. The Changyeon house will be angry with them if they don't send the letter to them first. Little Hen still stood aside and was surprised at every word that the teacher dropped from his lips. Knowledge and literacy. Self-confidence surprised the guy more and more every minute. Yuho accepted all the teacher's words, bowed, and said that he would do all the instructions. The teacher said goodbye to them, took Hen's hand, and said that it was time for them to go. Hyun heard all the conversations and discussions around. He realized that this building was something like telemedicine, in modern terms. Having seen everything, we can conclude that it is not for nothing that Baek Rin is one of the healing palaces of 3 generations of heavenly. Among the beautiful mountains covered with fog, the sun has already set behind the horizon. People in this city live their normal lives, which means they continue to get sick and get wounds. For the Murim warriors who fight every day, this happens much more often because their lives are more at risk. The master told Hen that warriors from Murim are always in demand for help and are always in search of an infirmary and doctors. She also mentioned how important the exchange of information is between local hospitals, because every day they share the stories of the soldiers who came to them and offer help. Hen and the master got into the room. The master said that it was hers. Hen really liked the place, but it seemed too minimalistic. The girl told him to settle down, but he listened a little, because his gaze and surprise fell on the stove that stood in the middle of the room. The guy continued to look around the master's room. He did not find any various decorations or dishes there. Everything was too modest and neat. so the room seemed completely empty. The girl sat down on a chair and continued the story about different infirmaries, and why the exchange of information among themselves, with various knowledge and information, is so important for them. But she also said that all this does not apply to healing skills. As it was said in the martial arts Pin Pu Jeong, healers also cannot simply teach their skills from scratch without any knowledge of a person, because they have been going towards this for years, and not everyone was able to overcome the path and gain such knowledge. In addition to her story, the master said that a long time ago there appeared an organization of healers similar to the Murim Union. As it turned out, several clans are subordinate to the Palace of Doctors. They are also doctors' offices, and all the offices in Kanho exchange necessary and new information through doctors. The Healing Palace gathers all the doctors in case there is a war among the alliances. The girl continued the conversation further and further, but Hen's thoughts did not allow him to calmly listen to her words. He was surprised by all the information and the stories he heard, but he also thought that in the room it will be necessary to install a floor water heater. The master continued the story that there are medical departments in which medical research is carried out. But Hen was already far from the conversation. His thoughts were increasingly filled with the question of the warmth of the room. This time he thought that he needed to restore order here. He also thought about heated floors because if he's here, he'll have to come up with something with the window open. The window that was constantly open, in any weather and season, as it turned out, is not closed, so that carbon monoxide does not accumulate, because it is very dangerous. The question of warmth interested him so much that he heard only a word from the girl's stories, and was already thinking about the future. What to do in winter if it continues to be so cold. He was a little worried about all his thoughts, and this was noticeable on his face. He thought that first he had to live until winter, because heated floors are difficult to install, and even after installation they will not be able to use them soon. So he decided for himself that for now, he would make do with the previously given stove. It seemed to him that one window was not enough, and he wanted a large one, and also temperature regulators for ventilation. The girl stopped her story and looked with displeasure at the guy, who did not even notice the silence in such a gaze. In an angry voice, the master reprimanded him that he was not listening to her at all. This interrupted his thoughts and all his thoughts. He jumped up in surprise and looked at the teacher in confusion. Hen stood up and, a little with shame and anger, asked the teacher for forgiveness, saying that he thought a little and listened to everything. The master excused him in a calm voice and said it was okay. The guy returned to his place and continued to listen carefully to her story. The girl asked what he was thinking about so much, to which he began to tell all the ideas that came to him. Creating a good environment that would help in treating her intermittent pulse. These thoughts all the time did not allow her to concentrate on the story and listen carefully. The master did not understand about what kind of pulse are we talking about, and asked again. Hen noticed that due to the 9th yin intermittent pulse, the master often freezes and her blood pressure constantly fluctuates. He said that in fact, the heat leaves the master's body, and the body cools down, and if the body's missing heat is replenished, then the symptoms and complications can be alleviated. The master thought about the young guy's words, because she considered his point of view very unusual, and also asked what solution he could offer. He loudly declared that the problem was in the room itself, and it needed to be equipped, because while the master was in it, the symptoms were getting more and more aggravated due to the temperature of the room. The master said that doctors are very sensitive to the environment, and they pay a lot of time and attention to hygiene because one of the main causes of illness is reinfection with it. Hen said that now we should forget about medicine and think about architecture, because with its help, you can get the desired solution. The master said with a little mockery that now this is a designer's room, not a doctor. But she also reminded that it is important not to forget and maintain a balance between everything. The first solution was the warmth and temperature in the room. This question interested the guy most of all because it was bitterly cold there and there weren't enough stoves. The master thought that the solution would be easy and they would just add even more stoves for heating. The cold can be life-threatening. No one knows the exact cause, but based on observations, the symptoms were very similar to drowning. Hen explained that the culprit could be carbon monoxide, which is too dangerous for the body, and even more so if there are other diseases. The guy explained that breathing requires oxygen, which is in the air, but there are also other gases there. When the temperature rises, the activity of carbon increases, and with a lack of oxygen, the same carbon monoxide is formed, and if you breathe too much of it, it can be too much bad consequences. The master listened in surprise to the guy's story and thought that gas poisoning was very similar to death from drowning, only not from water, but from air. The master was very surprised by the guy's literacy and knowledge. He built sentences so quickly without having any basic knowledge on the topic. This surprised the girl so much, because Hen told everything so quickly and confidently, as if he had had this idea in his head for a long time. The master asked him how he knew so much, but the guy stood silently shocked and not knowing how to answer the question. The master said that their family has been collecting various knowledge for many years, but she hears the words and the whole story of the guy for the first time, and it surprises her, because she devoted many years of her life to the study of medicine, and she never came across information that seemed so easy. Hen said that he understands the master's surprise, but he also spoke about his fear. If he tells, she may not believe him and consider the advice and actions he offers dangerous. The guy lowered his head and decided for himself that he definitely couldn't lie to the master. Because even though she was Baekrin Yui Song, she was not an ordinary teacher, but a genius and just a very good person who agreed to help him and took him under her wing. But still, the memories of the stories and records where it was said about how the master took revenge for the Chagall clan left no doubt about her determination and cruelty in the eyes of the guy. The master said that she already understood that Hyun is not a simple child, and he may not answer. She will just accept him as he is. She said this with a smile and kindness in her voice, which made Kim happy, and he also smiled in response. They went outside together, with warm tea, where the warm sun covered the room with its rays. The master thanked Hen for his advice and tips for deciding on the room. By the light of a candle, Hen spent the whole evening drawing something. It was not difficult for him to make something like a pencil out of coal, and it was quite convenient, because he had trouble getting used to a brush. The master told Hen that Yuho holds the position of an official in the medicine palace, so he can communicate on all issues that will concern him and interest him specifically. On the piece of paper, Hyun continued to depict his plans and ideas, namely a Korean heated floor. At the same time, he was happy that now he would be able to fully demonstrate all his skills by turning to Yuho for help. With a grin, Hen for some reason remembered the documentaries that he had already watched earlier and realized that it was not in vain, because now they would definitely be useful to him. Namely, documentaries about heated floors and the history of the stove. Now they are more useful than ever, because Hen plans to implement all the ideas and thoughts about transforming the master's room. He saw how good he was at drawing and thought about drawing something else. Hyun showed Juho his ideas. For Yuho, it was too surprising and incomprehensible. He could not understand whether they could bring this to life. Juho asked if he understood correctly that in the first picture the floor is heated. Hen replied that he was absolutely right, and in the second drawing there was a stove drawn. Since the stove is closed, smoke will not enter the room. Hen recalled that in his elementary school they heated food on such stoves. He was wondering whether there were heaters here in the primary classes or not. Juho continued to consider Hen's ideas. At first his words seemed nonsense to Juho, but now he gradually begins to see logic in them. Juho was surprised by Hen's idea to make windows out of glass. Hen happily said that when it gets colder, it will be difficult for the teacher to go outside. In addition, good lighting is necessary for physical and psychological health. Juho noted that this is similar to the Western style. They will need skilled workers. The costs will be considerable, but they will manage. Juho calculated that it would take a day to install the stove and windows, but it would be better to discuss the creation of a heated floor with a specialist. Hen was glad that Juho liked his ideas. Juho noticed that it would also take some time to rebuild the owner's new house. All work will take no more than 10 days, according to Juho. Hen thought about the words Juho said, and was sure that his ideas would greatly help the sick teacher. All these ideas will be very helpful to the teacher. There is a chance that heated floors and sunbathing will help extend a teacher's life by at least 10 years. Do not forget that he has well-developed internal energy, and he knows how to make miraculous elixirs. A few days later, Hen came to the temple with high hopes and was surprised by all the rapid changes. It's incredible how they got it done so quickly. Without modern devices, Hen could not contain his delight and surprise at the change he saw in the temple. Juho noticed Hen's appearance at the temple and immediately reported that they had finished installing the stove. And he also told Hyun that the teacher was now in the temple. After hearing from Juho about the whereabouts of the master, Hen headed to the temple as quickly as possible in order to find out the well-being of his teacher. Upon entering the temple, Hen immediately felt how warm it became after installing the stove. It will be very warm here in winter. The window allows light to pass through perfectly, which will greatly reduce health-impairing factors. Hen thought about how great his ideas would affect the teacher's health. The teacher immediately greeted he and joyfully asked him to come to his temple. Hen was still surprised how much his ideas helped. He didn't even imagine that it would be so good with the window closed and the stove on. And Hyun asked the teacher to remember to ventilate the room from time to time. Hen asked the teacher how he was feeling. The teacher happily said that just yesterday the cough had been tormenting him all day. But today he felt much better, and that couldn't help but make him happy. The teacher happily said that the stove was a great idea, and all of He's ideas are so amazing that it is impossible to hide her joy. The teacher asked Hyun to sit down and began stroking his head. The teacher continued to praise his so smart and sweet baby, because no one before him could even think that windows could be glazed. Hen wondered how the minor character Juho got so much talent to make a glass window in just one day, and also managed to install the stove. Hen began to consider Juho a wizard. Hen was going to find out everything about the mysterious Juho. He is devoted to the teacher like no other, but something seemed suspicious to Hyun about him. The teacher remembered how the head of the Namgung family was proud of his heirs, but they couldn't keep up with Hyun's talent. The teacher could not stop praising his student. Hen was incredibly happy that his teacher was gradually feeling better with every action Hen did for him. Juho, standing around the corner, overheard the conversation between Hen and the teacher, and I was able to conclude that the teacher was fascinated by this boy from the first meeting, and now he was behaving like a real fool. Previously, the teacher smiled only when the work situation required it. Every day he became worse and worse. There was complete silence in the doctor's palace. Juho continued to think and remember the condition of his teacher until that day. But everything changed with the appearance of Chin Cheon-hee. The teacher's smile never left his face. The boy had enough skill to find a solution to the problem of heat loss due to the 9th yin of intermittent pulse. He is not an ordinary child at all. If Chin Cheon-hee really wants to save his owner's life, Juho will try to help him in every way he can, even if it costs him his life. After Hen left the temple, Juho went to the teacher to find out his well-being. Juho decided to find out how the teacher is, and after a long time the teacher can say with a smile that he is getting better. All this time the teacher thought that he just needed to prepare some kind of healing elixir, and did not even realize that he should have started from his own home. Juho consoled the teacher by saying that such things were not the doctor's duties. The drawings that Chin Cheon-hee drew were very detailed. There is a Western influence in these designs, although this is an illusion as their inventions are a bit more advanced. The teacher was glad that this was his student. Juho noticed that this student is worthy of telling everyone about him. The teacher said that this is not the point at all. Juho told the teacher what he knew, how he praised Chin Cheon-hee in his letters that would fly to the recipients next week. Everyone in Kanho will be on the edge of their seats. Everyone will be wondering who this Chin Cheon-hee is. Juho thinks the teacher is overestimating Hyun. The teacher said that it was time for him to sleep and said goodbye to Juho. The teacher asked Juho if he was jealous of this boy, to which he shouted that he had not said such a thing. Thank God the teacher is not in pain today. He breathes calmly and sleeps soundly for the first time in a long time. Juho ordered everyone to walk quietly, like mice. The next day, the teacher told Hen about Chegal Liang, their ancestor. After some time, they began to call him Teacher Kanmen. He issued many military laws and founded various disciplines, and now they, his descendants, continued to develop his legacy. Initially, the teacher planned to adopt Hen so that he would continue his family line. However, changing your last name is not so easy. It didn't matter to Hyun whether he was Chin or Jegel Chong-hin. The teacher said that for now he would only be his student. But honestly, what a fool I am. I didn't think about Juho at all, the teacher said. What a fuss he would have made if Hen had come here, being the adopted son of a teacher. The teacher said that later Hen would still be able to use his surname Chegal. It seems that this meant that this would happen when Hen grew up, and it seems he meant that this would happen before his death. The weight of these words weighed heavily on Hen. Suddenly they found themselves in front of wooden training dolls, which surprised Hen and made him wonder what they would do with them. The teacher said that their family is based on shimbap. It improves memory and has a positive effect on thinking. A developed brain liberates human feelings. The teacher again showed the hand movement that was already familiar to Hen and struck the training doll. With an ordinary flash from his finger, the teacher so easily and accurately hit the named points of the body, thereby surprising Hen. This time the blow did not go through but only touched the training doll. It is possible to create a pistol with enormous firepower, but it is not possible to control this power at all. Hen couldn't believe his eyes. The teacher was amazed by Hen's action. Another would have asked why he didn't punch right through the training doll, as he had done before, and why the blow was so weak. Hen said that the teacher has impeccable control, didn't even damage the paint on the doll. The teacher laughed at the words of his young student and agreed with him. The teacher said that their kind, using brain power in this way, achieved great achievements compared to ordinary warriors. Because of this, arrogance became the root of all their troubles. But the teacher will teach Hen differently so that he doesn't worry. The knowledge that he will receive will be much more complete than that which the teacher's ancestors received. Hen was interested in whether finger flash was the main martial art of the Chagall clan or not. The teacher laughed and replied that it was more like child's play. The teacher told everything in simple language. Their combat power is represented in the techniques of wielding a sword, as well as in the art of wielding a fan. Naturally, this is not all. They are fluent in more than 10,000 types of weapons and techniques. This is a rather frightening feature of their kind. Hen was surprised that they could even use weapons that they saw for the first time in their lives. Hen's eyes sparkled with surprise, which in turn pleased the teacher. From the teacher's stories, Hen began to think about how strong his teacher was, and that with him he had nothing to doubt. Hen understood that with the help of his teacher, he too could become omnipotent. The teacher agreed with Hen's words and said that for this he would need to study all the fighting techniques of his family. Is this what Hen wants? Hen understood that if he became omnipotent, the heavenly demon would come after him to kill him. After all, if you want to become the leader of Magyo, you must prove that your skills are the most outstanding. And even now, while he is young, he provokes fights and threatens to kill everyone who stands in his way. This is how it happened in the novel. Yoha Ryon chased after All Might, and if Hen wants to become one, he will come for his head. Hen asked the teacher with interest why he became omnipotent. He was wondering why so many people in Kanho train until they lose their pulse. The teacher replied that they would not give him any medal or certificate for this, but they would honor him and consider him an idol. By becoming omnipotent, you gain rights that are not available to others. The teacher asked who Hen still wants to become. He answered his interested teacher that he did not see the point at all. He was becoming omnipotent. The teacher did not understand the essence of his student's words, but Hen joyfully shouted that he wanted to become an all-powerful doctor, like his teacher. These words amazed the teacher. The teacher patted Hen on the head and could not contain his delight, saying what a sweetheart he was, and wondering if there were still such cute kids in this world. The teacher knew that many of the Chagall clan aspired to become omnipotent, but for the first time, someone wanted to become an omnipotent doctor. Hen could not hide his joy, and the teacher was sure that Hen was sent to him from heaven. To live long, Hen will devote himself to medicine. Let the little heavenly dragon become the leader of Magyo. In the novel, the main character did not kill the doctors. So this is the meaning of Hen's life. Just the thought of this made his heart beat faster, he finally decided, even if this was not just his path. And at any cost, Hen promised to cure the teacher. He was the one who first gave him warmth, was kind even without any reason. Who would have thought that he would have to experience something like this? Hen understood that he could not leave the teacher. He was now his debtor. This is the valiant Chin Chong He. The teacher explained to Hen that the most important thing is to feel the energy inside himself, and ordered him not to move so as not to happen. Hen continued to sit silently and wait for the teacher's instructions. The teacher used a strange technique that emitted a lot of energy that even Hen opened his eyes in surprise. The master decided to show Hen his energy. Everything around was in bright light, unusual lights. Admiration and surprise did not leave the guy's face, because at that moment he realized that this was internal energy. Hen had strange sensations and feelings. The energy felt cold and heavy. The guy admitted the idea that due to the influence of the ninth yin on him, the intermittent pulse. The master shared his energy with Hen and said that he should feel hardening in the Tanjin area. The guy was surprised by everything that was happening around, but he also obediently did everything that the master said, trying to remain calm. Hyun's thoughts were enveloped in internal energy. He was surprised that it was in the Tanjun that he should feel the transformation, because this is the energy contained in the 100-year-old Hwandan. After all that was happening, the master said that Pulso Seizu went well, The internal energy that the master gave, absorbed into him thanks to the miraculous medicine, is now his. The master also explained that when the solidification becomes viscous, the life force will become like resin. Hen said that it was difficult for him to get used to the true essence of the miracle medicine, which is probably why he has not yet fully learned everything. The teacher said that now they are absorbing only 100 years Huandan, and next time they will try the 1,000-year-old. After absorbing and explaining the energy, the master told Hun to open his eyes. Next, their goal was to learn the basics of Shimbop. He talked about the origins of the Shimbop from the Chagall family, which is contained in the 5 elements. Namely, the 5 energies that form the world are fire, water, wood, metal, earth. The master told Hen to start breathing correctly, as he had shown and explained earlier. He had to try to move the internal energy on his own, which the guy tried to do very concentratedly and diligently. While the guy was getting ready and trying to follow the instructions, the teacher continued the story and gave examples regarding the elements. Water helps a tree to bloom, wood gives strength to fire, fire forms earth, earth makes metal, and metal purifies water. At one point, the guy still felt the promised sensation and movement of energy in him. It even seemed funny to him, but at the same time very interesting. He felt that he was discovering something new and unusual. The master said that the basis of the principle is the circulation of the 5 elements. And the reason why Shimbop of the 5 elements of Chagall is combined with medicine is that internal energy does not collide, does not mix, but always moves harmoniously. No other energy is capable of healing internal wounds and stimulating vitality. Hen was surprised by every word of the master. He tried to remember everything because he was so interested. He asked what would happen if the energy began to move in the opposite direction. As the master said, this phenomenon is called a deadly combination. After all, when water collides with fire, the fire goes out. When fire collides with metal, the metal melts. Metal cuts wood, and wood becomes part of the earth. All these examples confused the guy. He learned too many useful and new things for himself, and continued stand and remember. Hen asked if this was a bad, deadly combination, to which the master replied that there are cases when such a combination is simply necessary. As a clear example, the master gave the situation with Chukvaima, because if you fall into it, only a deadly combination can be used to stop him. In bright colors, the master described and told more and more interesting information, such as the fact that the cycle of the 5 elements and the deadly combination are similar to the medicine of poison. And in modern medicine, they are called a side effect. The master also told us about sildenafil says, known to everyone under the brand name Viagra. It was used in clinical trials as a drug for cardiovascular diseases because it had side effects. The side effect was the treatment of erectile dysfunction, which is why it began to be accepted in this area and in medicine in general. As it turned out, there are still cases when it is used to treat obesity and diabetes. This fact seemed strange to the guy. An instant reaction could be seen on his face. The master also said that the poison, unsuitable for consumption, turned out to be a cure for some patients. From this, we could conclude that there are no bad or good medicines. What matters is how exactly you use them. The guy again felt a strange sensation. The tangent began to move faster. Learning happened gradually. Hen understood this and thought that everything has its time. The master looked at his student with pride and said that he was truly a gifted child. And the saying, "When a bard learns a new chord, he will write 9 new songs," is exactly about him. He was proud of his student and the rapid development of his talent and abilities because he never for a moment didn't doubt him. He thought it was time to tell other doctors that a new, albeit small, talent had appeared in China. Juho handed Hen 5 strange pills and said that he would need to take them. He also said that there are 5 types of Huandan: fire, water, wood, earth, and metal. Because he noticed a misunderstanding and the guy's frightened eyes, Hyun looked at these 5 pills with apprehension, and thoughts and memories arose in his head that a cool aroma emanated from an ordinary Huandan, but nothing from these. With surprise, he asked Juho whether he should take it at once or not, to which Juho replied that only the one he wanted. The guy's fears disappeared a little, because taking one strange pill is better than taking 5 at once. Many thoughts appeared in the student's head. One of the versions was a test. He thought that this was an exam that would test his knowledge and whether he had made the right choice. Hyun remembered that he had already taken a 100-year-old Huandan, which originates in trees. So this time, he should choose one whose properties are similar as the principle of Shimbop internal energy says. Juho brought down Hen's thoughts and plans, saying that according to such logic, the principle will not work. After all, now in this situation, it is the cycle of the elements that is important. The guy thought that the energy of the tree would be enhanced by the energy of the fire. Since he had already taken the huandan of the tree, it was the turn of the fire. Bringing the pill a little closer, he felt a pungent odor emanating from it. This alarmed him a little, but he tried not to show it too much. It seemed strange to Hyun that literally just now, he felt nothing. In his head, he concluded that the huandan of the 5 elements is 5 pills and each of them has its own role. Looking at one pill in his hands, he said that if you take them all in order at once, then a large amount of energy will not be needed to create a cycle that forms the circulation of the 5 elements. He decided to create a base using the 5 components in their pure form and take the remaining 4 pills in order to turn his ideas and thoughts into reality. Juho was surprised by the choice and decision of the young guy, so he asked him again if he was sure that he wanted to accept everything at once, to which Hen confidently replied that he wanted. Hen smiled and scratched his head, thinking about the support from Juho, because someone like him finally understood what was what. The guy had an absurd smile and embarrassment on his face, because he didn't know how to react. The cycle begins with a tree and ends with it. Juho realized that the boy was much smarter than he thought. If he had only chosen huandan of fire, the owner would have already considered the answer correct. Juho asked how Hen came up with this idea. Hen explained that it was all about the smell. Juho didn't understand what they were talking about. At first, Hen found it strange that none of them had a smell. However, after observing, Hen noticed that each of them has its own personal smell. They are so in harmony with each other that when mixed, the smell is interrupted and disappears completely. It was then that Hen remembered the principles of the foundations of the 5 elements, and the correct answer suggested itself. Juho noticed that Hen is very insightful, and his efforts were not in vain. Juho said that he would convey Hyun's answer to the owner, and for now he advised taking huandan slowly. After looking at it for a long time, Hyun finally accepted huandan and grimaced, realizing that the fire had a sharp aftertaste. A week later, Hen realized that all he was doing was eating and activating the cycle, and so on in a circle. Is he a man or a huandan-eating machine? Hyun thought as he exhaled. Juho told Hen that they had arrived at the place. Surprised by what he saw, Hen could not take his eyes off the building. Juho said that this is a place where medicines are made. Hen was surprised by such a huge room. Juho said that this is Taki's palace. Baek Rin is one of the healing palaces of 3 generations in the Middle Kingdom. The doctor's palace is a large unit, and the doctor's office is a small one. In other words, Baek Rin is one of the country's palaces that can be counted on the fingers of one outstretched hand. They specialize in the production and sale of huandans. Hen recalled that this was mentioned in the novel, but he had no idea that everything worked like that here. Juho said that some people think that palaces that also have Chinese food therapy are better, but this does not lower the status of their palace. He completely agreed that this place is wonderful. They produce many miracle drugs, each of which is classified into a specific class from high to low. Hen was still surprised by all the words Juho said, and he continued to look at everything that stood in his way without losing a drop of interest in his sparkling eyes. Juho continued his story for Hen. Top-class medications are about 1 or 2 per year, and despite the fact that Hen is a student who receives the internal energy of the owner, he will not be able to easily cope with this kind of medicine at all. Hen replied that he didn't need it. Juho told Hyun to take low-grade huandan once every 3 days, and if his body could absorb the properties of the pills, then from just one Hyun would receive the same amount of internal energy that 6 months of hard training would bring. Hen understood that he was incredibly lucky, and without losing confidence and determination in his eyes, he clearly knew that he was completely ready for this without hiding his smile. In the novel, students receive the energy of teachers, and the descendants of noble families take miracle drugs every day from an early age. Hen didn't even hope that it would be the same for him. Juho noticed how incredible Hen is that he manages to do so many things in a day. Hen probably doesn't sleep well because of training, Juho thought. It was impossible not to notice the joy from such a huge amount of praise on Hen's face that he could not hide his wide smile and sparkled more and more every day. Because compared to what happened in the internship, this is complete nonsense. Then he was completely exhausted both physically and mentally. If slavery had not been abolished, it would now be called a medical graduate specialty. At that time, no matter what he did, he was insulted by everyone who could not be too lazy to take such actions. Patients and caregivers, professors, and ordinary passers-by. At that time, sadness and anger were his companions. And then even they disappeared. It was then that he learned what emotional exhaustion was. But here everything is completely different, and in no way similar to what happened before. All the doctors constantly praise Hen every day and support him with everything they can. Hen felt their love and respect every day he was there. Is this the life of the second most influential person in the palace, Baek Rin? Interrupting Hen's thoughts, a teacher appeared out of nowhere, happy to meet Hen. When Hen saw the teacher, he immediately began to rejoice and call him to him and Juho. The teacher, without hiding his joy, approached them. The teacher asked Hyun if he liked the medicine-making department. Hen said with a smile that he really liked everything. The teacher put his hand on Hen's shoulder and thanked Yuho for the excursion he had given the little hero. The teacher smiled with joy for his prosperous student and continued to be proud of him. The teacher saw that Hen had already reached the first level, which could not but please both of them. Hen asked the teacher if he got over it quickly, to which the teacher patted him on the head and said that he copes with everything very quickly. But there is no need to overexert yourself so much, and he told Hyun to rest. Hen, after hearing the pleasant words, agreed with a smile on his face that he needed to rest. The teacher said that he and Hen would now go to lunch, and the teacher will tell Hen where he will live. Hen happily agreed with the teacher's idea. Soon the construction of the new house was completed. It would have been impossible to do it so quickly, but they hired a lot of workers, and the time frame was reduced. Hen continued to be surprised by everything that was happening to him. On one side, there is a large glazed window, heated floors, and a stove. Everything is done according to Hen's ideas. As Hen wanted, the interior of the house was decorated with wood and the walls were covered with clay. A house with such thermal insulation is different from the typical Chinese style of construction. Hen said that the house says a lot about its owner. This one, which does not allow heat to pass through, is evidence of the will of the teacher. The master pointed to a place laid on the floor and asked with a smile if this would suit him, since he would have to sleep on the floor. Hen just laughed and said that it was just right for him because this was such an idea. The floor was warm, heated, and it would be just perfect for him to sleep. The master made fun of the guy and asked if it would be hot for him to sleep, while Hen touched the bed with surprise, feeling how warm it was there, but without betraying his emotions, because initially he said that it was intended that way. The master told Juho that the room was already like a bathhouse, to which he chuckled and said that the stove was completely filled with wood in order to check the maximum temperature in the room that could be. The master told his expectations and recalled how he said that one stove would be enough, but Hen's brilliant plan and ideas turned out to be simply incomparable. The master really liked this whole system. Juho asked why the master was not interested in how Hen knew so much, to which the master reminded them that they decided not to ask. And they came to the conclusion that someday he himself would reveal his secret to them. With a drop of tears in his eyes, the master looked at the joyful and laughing Hen and said that he was already beginning to understand what kind of person he was. At the meeting place, the student and master arrived early, which surprised both. They just laughed at this situation and smiled politely at each other. Hen asked how the master was feeling lately, to which he happily replied that the heated floor was just a godsend for him because he felt comfortable and warm in the room. He also said that every day he feels better and better thanks to Hen. The guy immediately had a smile on his face. He was pleased to hear this. The master suggested continuing to comprehend the divine help of the 5 elements. Having taken a pose, the guy concentrated and listened to the master's instructions. The master told him only to concentrate the tangent energy in his fingertips and remember to breathe correctly. Concentration on breathing was the main thing at that moment. The guy felt the arrival of all the energy in his body. A red light appeared around him again, and a feeling of strength came more and more into his body. The master happily praised Hen and said that he had succeeded. Hen was very pleased because these were his first successes, although not huge. With embarrassment, Hen was very grateful to the master, but also said that for now, he could not set fire to anything more than a blade of grass. The master calmed Hen's worries and said that everyone started with this, but despite this, he is the one who learns the fastest. He also suggested giving the student a task. Since his level had grown, he thought that it was time. The master showed all his skills and decided to show the energy of the fan. Hen stood with his eyes wide open, looking in surprise at the miracle of technology, because for the first time he saw how the master uses a fan. Using also the essence of fire, the master showed a stunning talent to his student. Hen stood on the sidelines for a long time, could not come to his senses, because the master mastered his talents so mesmerizingly that the guy was speechless. The master felled the huge tree in one fell swoop. Hen, standing aside, did not believe what he saw and considered it impossible even when he saw it before his own eyes. The place where the cut was made was burnt, but the tree itself did not catch fire. Hen admired his master, standing to the side, watching his every move, wanting to become as powerful as him. In a calm voice, the master asked if the student liked his skills, to which he received a positive answer. With the next energy, he decided to show the wind. The guy continued to be surprised by everything that was happening, because this time he could do something even more unpredictable. A huge tree fell in the wake of the past. Hen did not believe that the wind energy was so powerful, and the master said that the essence of the wind lies in movement. The master said that the fire damaged the cover of the tree and it was already dead, as if he was hinting at Hen's first task. And so it happened. The master said that now it was the student's turn to show his skills, talent, knowledge, and abilities, and asked if he could use the energy of water. The master said that his first task would be to save the tree from death. The cover was cut and broken, but the guy's strength could still help him recover. The master said if he completed the task, then his first task would be considered completed. Hen stood and thought near the tree what he needed to do, and the master behind him seemed to mock him a little, asking how long it would take him to get ready and show his talent here. On the way home, the master talked with Juho, who was constantly trying to find out if he was in too much of a hurry, because it's not so easy to reach the 3rd degree in the first lesson. He tried to convince the master that at the first level no one could do this, to which the master, seemingly ignoring him, said that he was not arguing, but it was clear that he thought the opposite. The master said that he was very kind to Hen, told him a lot of theory, showed him techniques. Juho didn't like this very much. He stood with an indignant face. Juho kept thinking about the master, because when it comes to education, you can't find a stricter mentor, and maybe the master cherishes Ki, but you won't get any leniency from him in teaching. Juho's thoughts stopped at the fact that the most important thing is success, and this approach will only make the student stronger and stronger. It started to rain. A guy in a blue kimono stood under a tree and said that even the weather was against him, but it was good where to hide. It seemed to him that raindrops were not just water, but energy that could be used for something more. The young man thought about how he could heal a tree with the energy of water while being at the 1st level. Sighing, he realized that water has incredible healing powers and can transform even the worst situations. The young doctor thought that he had barely collected a little energy, but it was very little to heal the tree bark, and the master understood this very well. Collecting the last drops of rain in his palms, he felt how they filled his own strength with each passing moment. Chin asked himself why the master gave such a task. Was it really so that the guy would despair, if this was a very dubious method? But then he had a thought. Perhaps this is just a test that will help develop his inner strength and wisdom. And he decided to take on this challenge, preparing for the next stage of his journey. The guy looked at the roots and noticed that they were intact, which means the tree did not die. With joy, the conviction arose in his heart that his efforts were not in vain, and he could continue treating the tree with renewed enthusiasm. The young doctor noticed that it was necessary to start treating the tree from the lower part, in order to then revive the upper part. Looking at the trunk, he knew that the restoration process would be difficult, but he was ready to take on the challenge. It seemed to him that not only the fate of the tree, but also his fortitude depended on this. Chin sat near the tree but thought how quiet everything was around. He felt that this calmness helped him concentrate better on the task. Closing his eyes, he felt the pulsating energy of nature, which helped him find inner harmony. The young doctor concluded that when it rains, the roots absorb a lot of water, and thanks to this, the tree blooms. He wrote this down in his little notebook, pondering how this assumption might affect his future actions. Having set a new challenge for himself, he began to develop a treatment strategy brimming with confidence in his abilities. Then the teenager thought that the tree gives birth to fire, and the fire in turn returns the tree back to the earth. Then the earth is combined with metal combined with water. This cycle of the 5 elements inspired him to believe that there was a deep unity between all aspects of nature, and he could use this to improve the healing of the tree. Chin thought that the teacher meant that you need to increase the amount of energy by connecting elements. The load on weak patients is also increased gradually. It became clear to him that each stage of treatment must be thoughtful and sustained, as well as his own path of development. The young doctor thought about it, and it will work in his case. He only needs the energy of water. He decided to dedicate time to research and deepen his skills, focusing on increasing the energy of water to improve healing. The young man decided to use the almost divine help of the 5 elements. He put his hand to the tree and thought that it was unsafe to use a technique that you were not trained in. But he was interested in testing his limits and taking this risk, knowing that eventual success would not only benefit the tree, but also himself. He thought that he saw no other solution, and if he died because of the tree, he would be remembered as a rare loser. But a feeling of inner strength and certainty flared up in his soul. He decided that this test would be his greatest challenge, one that would help him grow as a doctor and a person. The young man decided that he would start with the calmest and most stable energy first. He closed his eyes and went into meditation. By focusing on his breathing, he began to feel the flow of energy, which became his inner source of strength and determination. It looks like the guy's technique has started to work. He noted that he could directly feel the energy growing when combined with the metal, as long as everything was going well. Keeping his inner calm, he continued to channel positive energy towards the tree. Then the young doctor decided to combine metal with water. Paying attention to the flow of water, the guy felt how these 2 elements interacted, creating a new flow of energy that improved the condition of the tree. Energy began to fly everywhere around the tree. Chin thought that more was needed. The energy increased 7-fold. His heart was filled with great joy, realizing that his efforts were leading to success. Focusing his attention on the goal, he devoted himself to this process with complete devotion. Chin continued to exert his strength to perform his magical technique. His hands were significantly strengthened by tension, but he did not give up on his task, confident that his efforts would lead to further improvement. A sudden burst of energy and the bark on the tree grew together. The guy felt how his own energy combined with the life source of the tree, making it stronger and more alive. The young doctor touched the tree and concluded that something had happened, but this was not the end. Staying focused, he knew this was just the beginning of his journey and was ready to continue his studies. Suddenly, he thought that he could start with the energy of wood. Then he would carry the energy through fire, earth, metal, and water. He began to consider possible options for how to combine these elements to achieve optimal effect. All the magical elements appeared in the teenager's imagination. He thought that if everything worked out, it would be 2 to the 5th power. That is, the energy would increase 32 times. This idea filled his heart with faith and determination to overcome any difficulties on the path to restoring the tree. The young doctor, deep in thought, reflected on the importance of maintaining a balance between quantity and quality. In his inner voice, he felt that in this situation it was more important to spend time on a detailed analysis than to rush. Therefore, when he was asked to begin studying the 1,000-year-old Huadin a little later, he agreed, recognizing that the quality of study had its cost. Chin continued his thoughts, convinced that the true power of divine power lies in the harmony of the 5 elements. He expressed the opinion that mutual exclusivity and the transformation of one energy over others can lead to a state of chuhvaima, which should be avoided. Maintaining a confident appearance, the young man picked up the tree and expressed his conviction in the need to use the technique. He added that failures are not a reason to make excuses, but a general path for development. The garden door opened and 2 mysterious men entered. One of them had long white hair that reflected the light, and the other had red hair curled into braids. Their images carried an aura of mystery. The white-haired man wondered if the task he had given the guy was too difficult. He hesitated in choosing between a difficult and a simpler task, considering the possible negative consequences of a heavy workload on the student. The uncle looked at the tree bark in delight and was pleasantly surprised to see that it remained practically unharmed. Impression flooded his eyes, for the durability of this bark was almost a miracle. His surprise increased and he remained amazed, not believing that it was still the same tree. But he later noticed that upon closer inspection one could see how the bark had just grown, and traces of water energy were clearly visible. Blue energy emanated from the bark itself, testifying to the life-giving powers of the tree. The man with white hair returned to the red-haired man, amazed at what he saw, and said that it was undoubtedly the work of Chincho Hin. He completed this task entirely on his own, without any assistance. The redhead asked if he really succeeded. The man with white hair confirmed that yes, in just a day, and perhaps even less, in half a day. He explained that the young doctor had completed the first task associated with the 3rd element. The task was to combine, expand, and concentrate the energies of all the elements in the right direction. He then noted that this level of control might be difficult for a child, but Chin was up to the task. The man with white hair smiled and happily said that he considered it obvious that Jin Cho-hee would become his heir. He acknowledged his genuine talent and the joy it brings not only to him, but to all of Kanho, and added that it should be shared with everyone. The red-haired man thought about the possible negative consequences of this success, especially how the owners of doctors' offices might react. He saw the potential pressure on students to be compared to the exceptional skills of the youngster. The white-haired man expressed anticipation for the morning meeting where he was going to share this big news with all the medical palaces. He felt the splendor of the moment and the desire to tell all the medical guilds about the achievements of the young doctor. Chin woke up in a luxurious palace and noted that he had spent the whole day in a dream. He felt incredibly good, and at that moment he felt that his body no longer belonged to an ordinary person. He had turned into something extraordinary. All the senses of Chin Cho-hin amazed with their sensitivity. Every sensation he felt became very sharp and intense. The young man felt joy because of his new position. He became stronger, and this was only the beginning. His internal energy grew, and his ability to develop became even more powerful. Now he felt like a man and, at the same time, like something more than an ordinary person. The teenager expressed admiration that martial arts was now just a game for him, and he might already be growing up. He tried to explain this with the miracle medicine and techniques of the Chagall family. If this process continues, Chin Cho-hee may become stronger than the heavenly demon. He expressed his confidence that this path would lead him to incredible heights of skill and strength. It's unlikely, because the heavenly demon has a deadly sky star, and he knows a variety of secret techniques, which the young man is still far away from. However, someday he will definitely come to the doctor's palace, because until he becomes a real heavenly demon, he will need Chin's help. Suddenly, the boy felt loud sounds that seemed to come from the very heart into the yard. Chin Cho-hin made the observation that these loud sounds are so startling that they give the impression that the house itself is about to fall apart. Unable to remain inactive, the boy came to the conclusion that it was not time to sit back. He needed to act, finding a way to cope with an unexpected challenge. Suddenly, among the crowd of palace doctors, a man with a bow emerged, whose scream echoed around, becoming part of the chaos. He emerges among the doctors, asking where he can find Baek Rin-tu-seong, and with great concern asks for the opportunity to meet with him. The arrival of this man with a bow angered and surprised the crowd of doctors and those gathered. People try to cope with the situation by urging him to calm down, take down his weapon, and resolve the matter verbally. Chin Cho-hin instantly recognized the source of the noise, realizing that this could be an important event. What caught his attention was the child on the back of the archer who seemed to be his father. The child's age and condition indicated possible health problems. The archer continued to urge the crowd to help him meet Baek Rin-tu-seong, promising that it would only be one time. He argued that it was important to know that his daughter would survive. The young man aptly took into account that the archer, although he looked like a poor man, was actually just trying to save his daughter. This made the situation even more important and emotionally charged. The archer aimed his bow at the crowd of doctors as he continued to demand that he be taken to Baek Rin-tu-seong. The tense situation was gaining momentum, and the threat of the bow added uncertainty to the air. The doctors were panicked by the archer's actions, and they began to insist that he calm down and lower the bow. The young man realized that this archer had incredible attack power even without a firearm, and his caution was in place. Coming to a conclusion, Chin recognized this archer as Chongsad, Jikana, a killer who belonged to neither Chongfu nor Safu. He is known for his ruthlessness, willingness to kill for money, and even attack prominent martial artists. This archer is the main enemy of this world, and the lack of other enemies made him the most dangerous threat. The doctors responded to the archer, explaining that they provided assistance only to those about whom they had received return messages via pigeon mail. The palace only accepts those patients who could not be helped in the doctor's offices. To get help, the archer must present an extract from the doctor's office to confirm the girl's condition. The words of the doctors amazed the archer because he realized that his daughter was already on the verge of life and death, and every moment was of great importance. The archer was amazed and enraged and was preparing to fire a magical arrow at the doctors who refused to save his daughter. Subsequently, the archer calmed down a little. Chin Cho-hin remembered that someone attacked the archer's daughter out of revenge, resulting in her death. The archer himself set out on the path of revenge after losing his health. The archer held his wounded daughter in his arms and sobbed in despair, feeling powerless in the face of the inevitable. Chin Cho-hin looked at the archer's daughter and realized that if he was not mistaken, then she was on the verge of life and death. However, he had a feeling that perhaps he could change this terrible sentence and save him from the inevitable fatal end. The archer turned to the doctors, saying that he and his daughter tried to get treatment in the main unit of the Huazhu infirmary, but they only winced and said that they could not give an extract. The archer continued talking and said that he had been trying to cure her for 10 days. It took 5 days to get here. The archer cried desperately and stated that there was little time left and decided to go directly to the doctors for help. The archer said that Huazhu Song refused to help him, citing the fact that the archer did not belong to Changfu. However, he is not ready to give up hope and decided to turn to other doctors. Jin Cho-hin was very surprised that Huazhu Song only treats those who belong to Zhongpu. This gave him disordered thoughts about the complexity of this world. He looked at the archer's sick daughter and thought how difficult it is in this world if, due to the lack of certain documents, children are denied the help they need. Chin Cho-hin remembered the archer's words that he had come a long way, coming here for 5 days, and looked at his sick daughter, wondering how she was still alive. It seemed medically impossible, and in these thoughts he felt doubt and concern. The archer carefully placed his daughter in front of him, knelt down and sighed, saying that he spent all his efforts, selling property in order to collect at least some money. He appealed pleadingly to the doctors, pointing out that they were his last hope for saving his daughter. Chin Cho-hin was struck by the reality and tragedy of the situation, reflecting that seeing this in real life is much more difficult than reading. He believed that only a teacher could solve such a complex problem. Suddenly, a teacher with white hair and their assistant arrived at the scene. The doctors greeted him cheerfully and reported that this archer had created real chaos. The arrival of the white-haired Baek Rin-tu son greatly surprised the archer. He fell to his knees before the teacher and made a pleading request, asking him to help his daughter. The archer pointed to his daughter, who was lying almost lifeless on the white canvas, and said that 7 people had attacked her. At Huazhu Kaxian's doctor's office, she was examined and reported that her internal organs were severely damaged. The medicine did not bring relief. Baek Rin-tu Song leaned over the archer's daughter, examining her condition. Doctors watched this important momentary event closely. The archer, crying, filled with hope, did not take his eyes off his unconscious daughter. Baek Rin-tu Song took the girl by the hand, examined her and expressed admiration, calling it a miracle that the girl was still alive. Continuing his statement, Baek Rin-tu Song said that it was too late to treat the girl, and he could not help her. These words penetrated like a sword into the archer's heart, bringing a difficult and disappointing reality. The archer clenched his teeth, expressing his anger, and glared angrily into Baek Rin-seong's eyes. His soul was filled with a feeling of irritation. The archer suddenly surfaced, shouting a question about what Baek Rin-seong said, and almost attacked him with his fists. Baek Rin-seong remained calm and replied that it was too late to help the archer's daughter. Baek Rin-seong's words irritated the archer too much. He literally burned with anger, not understanding why an experienced and famous doctor could not save his daughter. In anger, the archer began to use his magical fighting technique. His hand magically lit up with a core of energy, creating a magical aura around it. Unsure of how this happened, the archer released his anger through magic. The doctors peered at the archer in horror. Their hearts beat so fast, as if they were on the verge of life and death. The technology they saw looked so powerful that it could take away all hope of survival. Chin Cho-hin thought that the archer might have gone mad. It looks as if he began to commit completely unjustifiable actions that looked like an expression of complete madness. The archer's hand slowly rose towards Baek Rin-seong, pointing his fighting technique at him. It seems that deadly energy is preparing to burst out of his palm, ready to destroy everything in its path. Baek Rin-seong calmly met the archer's gaze. His face radiated purple magic that shone down on him from the archer, creating an aura of mystery. Suddenly, at the last moment, Baek Rin-seong's assistant grabbed the hand of the archer, who was about to launch a strike with a magical technique to the detriment of their master. His hand shook with tension as he tried to contain the powerful energy that threatened them all. The assistant held the archer's hand and insisted that he calm down, remembering that they were on the territory of the Baek Rin Healing Palace, where power exists not only magically but also medically. In the courtyard of the Baek Rin Medical Palace, Everything continued to be illuminated by the purple magic of the archer's combat technique. The doctors were horrified by what was unfolding before their eyes, witnessing events that were beyond their normal understanding. The archer screamed, demanding that his assistant let go of his hand, and forcefully pulled it out of the assistant's block, showing his strong determination. The archer exclaimed that the doctors and Baekrin Seong were treating him with some hostility due to the fact that his money was ill-gotten. The archer menacingly exclaimed that Hwaju Kak Song and even Baekrin Tu Song were hypocrites, and now he would show them his strength by destroying their illusions. Everything around him glowed with his strong aura, seemingly enhanced by his own anger. Chin Cho-hin felt that the archer was devoid of intelligence. His movements were as impressive as his appearance itself. He resembled a demon archer stepping out of his legends. Suddenly, among the crowd of doctors, mysterious figures appeared, not resembling any of the workers at the medical institution. They attracted attention by carrying weapons and mysterious glances. Armed with spears, the guards moved towards the archer and Baekrin Seong, creating a perimeter defense. Their appearance was striking in strength and determination. The archer indulged in a mad rage, shouting that everyone, even his colleagues, was against him. His voice sounded like the cries of a demon, causing excitement among everyone around him. This scene shocked Chin Cho-hin. He came to the conclusion that the doctor's palace was part of Marim, who had entered into a dispute with the clan's warriors. Baekrin Song responded to the archer's words, emphasizing that the situation with his daughter was hopeless, and it was time to accept it. The feeling of helplessness hung in the air like a dark shadow. The archer did not know what to do, looking at his wounded and unconscious daughter. His madness continued to control him like a fiery hell dance. Then the archer exclaimed that if the circumstances were such, then let him and his daughter be killed right here, otherwise he would kill everyone who was in this medical palace. His voice sent dark energy flying into the air. The archer gritted his teeth, his gaze filled with madness as he expressed his belief that Hwaju Kak Song, that hypocrite, would share the same fate. His threat sounded like a witch's prediction. Chin Cho-hin reasoned that things were rapidly deteriorating. Hwaju Kak Song and his assistant continued to act as if